So welcome to today's deep dive. We are kicking things off with this really striking image from our sources. Picture two 11-year-old Danish boys, Kesser and Steen, just sitting in front of a computer looking completely shell-shocked.
Yeah, they're watching this video about a massive explosive cancer epidemic over in Iowa in the U.S.
Right, but they aren't freaked out for the Americans, which is the crazy part. I mean, they're terrified because they realize that the exact same invisible poison from the video is literally flowing out of their own kitchen tap back in Denmark.
Exactly. And that's our mission today, to unpack how industrial farming, basically big ag, is causing this massive drinking water crisis that honestly crosses oceans.
So to get what terrified these boys, we kind of have to look at Iowa first. Iowa is this farming kingdom, right? But the sources point out that they actually import like 95% of their own food.
Oh, yeah, because half of the state's land is just dedicated to growing corn for pig feed and ethanol. And those pigs, they produce an unbelievable amount of waste. We're talking manure equivalent to the sewage of 125 million people.
Wait, 125 million? I mean, that's over a third of the whole U.S. population, just concentrated in one single state.
Right, and they just spray all that manure back onto the fields as fertilizer.
Which, if you think of healthy soil as this massive, diverse sponge, monocrop corn just shrinks that sponge. So if you pour 125 million people's worth of waste onto it,
The excess has nowhere to go but straight into the water table.
yeah, the rivers basically turn into agricultural drainage ditches.
And that runoff is just packed with nitrates. Like, a healthy river has maybe 1 part per million of nitrates, but in Iowa, they're routinely seeing 10 or even way higher.
It's like turning a local river into an industrial sewer line. How does a system even get that distorted?
Well, the sources detail this massive shift toward big business agriculture. These giant multinational companies like Bayer and Koch and Corteva, they kind of treat farming as an industrial profit machine instead of, well, a system to feed humans.
Right, and then you have lobbying groups, right, like the Farm Bureau suppressing the water quality data.
Exactly. They fight environmental regulations tooth and nail.
Okay,
And it just leaves local farmers feeling completely used while over 1 million Iowans are left drinking unsafe water.
Okay, I'm stuck on something in the data, though.
Yeah.
The U.S. legal limit for nitrates is 10 parts per million. But then the EU and Denmark, they set their limit at 50 milligrams per liter. I mean, the math there seems dangerously off. Which one is it?
It is super confusing, yeah. It's basically a clever trick of measurement. So the U.S. measures nitrate nitrogen, meaning they just isolate and weigh the nitrogen atom inside the molecule.
Oh, okay, so it's just a different scale.
Yeah, and the EU weighs the total nitrate molecule, oxygen included. So 10 parts per million in the U.S. is actually practically identical to 45 milligrams per liter in Europe.
Wow, so it just sounds totally different to an average person trying to read a local water report.
Exactly. They are basically the exact same standard.
But both of those limits are really old, right? Like set back in 1974 to stop blue baby syndrome.
Yeah, which is this awful condition where nitrates physically block a baby's blood from carrying oxygen. So back in the 70s, they just treated water safety like an engineering problem. Just keep the number barely low enough so babies don't literally suffocate.
But that completely ignores the long-term biological risks.
Yeah.
Because what Kesser and Steen saw was this brand new Danish research linking those exact same nitrates to cancer.
Right, specifically colon and rectal cancer.
Yeah, and the risk for those shoots up when drinking water hits just 4 milligrams per liter. I mean, 4. That's a tiny fraction of those legal limits we just talked about.
And that data point changes the whole conversation, which is exactly why those Danish boys were so terrified.
Definitely. Because if this massive nitrate pollution in Iowa is driven by industrial pork production, well, Denmark is a huge global powerhouse for pork and bacon exports. They are going to hit that same biological wall.
Oh, they've absolutely hit it. I mean, this just completely dominated their national elections. Clean drinking water was suddenly the deciding issue for voters.
Yeah, and the sources say they actually appointed a new environmental minister after that election, right? Someone who isn't even a career politician.
Right. They brought in a leader from the Nature Conservation Society, and they are pushing to drastically rewrite the rules, trying to lower that nitrate limit from 50 milligrams per liter all the way down to 6.
Which is huge.
Yeah.
And they're targeting these highly polluted agricultural zones, which ironically includes the prime minister's own hometown.
It's a massive clash of priorities, yeah. Because on one hand, advocates are pointing to the cancer data and demanding clean water. But on the other side, the political opposition is arguing that strict rules will just kneecap Denmark's highly lucrative bacon export industry, devastating their economy.
Right, so we are just imparting what the sources say here without taking a stance. But it's the exact same tension between agricultural economics and environmental safety that we saw in Iowa,
Yeah.
just debated in a different parliament.
Exactly. And meanwhile, regular people are just caught in the middle.
Yeah.
Like Kesser and Steen pulling up a Greenpeace map of Denmark's nitrate levels and seeing their own local area glowing tomato red.
Which is terrifying if you are just looking at a glass of your own tap water right now.
It really is. I think the overarching takeaway from all these sources is realizing how our global agricultural model is currently operating completely at odds with the safety of our most basic resource.
Yeah, it's a systemic prioritization of yield and profit over long-term public health.
Spot on.
I want to leave you with this final thought today. The sources mention these little water testing strips you can buy. Measuring the toxicity of your daily tap water is as simple as dipping a cheap plastic strip into a glass and watching it turn bright pink.
Just bright pink, yeah.
Yeah. So if the danger is that visible and that easy to prove, why is it so incredibly difficult to change the massive agricultural machine that poisoned it in the first place?